Hey everybody, and welcome back, or welcome to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we revisit the Reddit Whiskey Challenge. You only ever need 5 whiskeys. But today, we're going to put a little bit of a different spin on it. You only ever need 5 ryes. Run the video. Okay folks, so before we begin, if you're new around here, do yourself a favor, go over to our YouTube homepage and check out some of the recent videos we've been putting out. We've done the original You Only Need 5 Whiskey Reddit Challenge, and we've also done like a bunch of store hauls, whiskey reviews, blind battles, distillery tours, and kind of like what whiskeys to look out for the forthcoming months as well. So go over there and check some of those videos out, and also hit that subscribe button as we continue to make this channel and community grow. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and comment down below if there's anything specific that you would like to see us do as a channel. With that being said, let's take a look at the You Only Ever Need 5 ryes. So just to kind of refresh our memory, the categories are a daily drinker, a good mixer or a cocktail whiskey, a Friday night pour, something to impress your guests, and then something special. So those are the 5 categories. So let's just delve straight into it. So category 1, a daily sipper. And so for me, a daily sipper needs to be inexpensive, it needs to be easy to find, nothing too high in proof because you probably have work the next day or something of that ilk. So that's why I chose Heaven Hill's Elijah Craig Straight Rye Whiskey. I think I paid between $28 and $32 for this. I also think that, if I remember correctly, on one of these bottles I picked up, I actually had a free pair of socks, so that was a win. With this whiskey, it is 94 proof or 47% alcohol by volume. Again, it's not too high of an ABV or proof because you have a lot going. It's a midweek sip almost. And the kind of notes I get from this, you're not going to get like a ton of rye notes from this one. It's more of what I like to call like a bourbon drinker's rye. It kind of appeals more to like a bourbon drinker as opposed to a rye drinker. You get a little bit of like anise and some of that rye spice, but it's not too much, it's not too overpowering. You get more of those kind of like vanilla or creamy notes and kind of like that rye spice or kind of like the aniseed rice. Aniseed spice is kind of like on the back end there. So if you're someone who's not really into rye, I think this is actually a really good gateway rye because yes, it's inexpensive and it tastes very similar to like the Heaven Hill, the Elijah Craig Classic Bourbon, but just with a couple of extra different notes. So that is my daily sipper. I'm going to be getting more into this daily sipper as we approach the winter months here, and this will probably be coming up in a few other videos here coming soon. So that was my daily sipper. And again, the next category is a good mixer or something that goes well in a cocktail, and you can't look any further than this rye whiskey. This rye whiskey is a staple of the rye world. Anybody who's from beginner to advanced has probably heard of this whiskey and knows exactly kind of the weight that it carries in the whiskey cocktail world. And that is, without any further ado, Sazerac Rye. So why I chose this as my mixer is obviously a classic rye mixer. Why I think that is because you can put in some ice, you can shake it up in a cocktail, but you still get some of those really nice rye notes that come through. They're not overwhelming at all. The proof on this, again, isn't that much. It's 45% alcohol or 90 proof. I know some folks out there might like a little bit of a higher proof to go into a cocktail so that it doesn't get too washed away or watered down. But I can promise you, just with the flavor profile of this rye whiskey, you still get a lot of those rye notes that will come through without any of the heat. So I do believe that this is, for that reason, a perfect whiskey cocktail, perfect rye cocktail, which is why I chose it as my mixer or my cocktail whiskey. So that is Sazerac Rye. So then moving on to my Friday night pour. So a Friday night pour, you've had a long week of work. It's been a busy week. You want something that's not too special, but something that's better than average, something you want to really enjoy and sip on a Friday night. And that's why I chose Sagamore Spirit Rye Double Oaked. So this is just a phenomenal whiskey. Yes, it's double oak as well, so it's like so much more of like a desserty rye whiskey. You get so much more of those like deep maple charred flavors. You get some of that rye spice as well, but it's just completely balanced out by the sweeter notes in it. This is definitely more of a sweeter whiskey than maybe some of the other rye whiskeys that we have on this list. If I read some information from the back label here from you, this is aged between 4 and 5 years, and then it's put into a toasted wave stave barrel for an additional 18 months. So we're looking at about 6 to 7 years in total, which is quite a lot for a rye. And then they talk a little bit then about proofing it down with limestone filtered water from their spring house built in 1909. It will be really interesting to see this not proofed down, because even at around 50% alcohol, you get so much, it's like a huge flavor profile, or you pick up on so much different things. This is so complex. You should definitely get it. I think I paid around $50 for this from Costco. I think you generally pick them up between $50 and $70. 70 is pushing it, I guess, just because you don't want to be ripped off. But I think $70 for this whiskey is easy, or great value for money. And that's why I picked this as my Friday night pour. And guys, do not sleep on this rye whiskey. I think we might see this come up in some of my end of year awards. But with that being said, this is something for a Friday night pour. And that was Sagamore Spirits Double Oaked. So next up, the category is something to impress your guests. And for this category, I chose High West Double Rye. And this is not just a regular double rye. This is their different like barrel series or single barrel finished series. This is a Malbec finished for 9 months. And so why I didn't choose this specific like Malbec whiskey. I chose any of the High West like single barrel store pick whiskeys, because I'll tell you why. So this is a Malbec finish. Okay, so I have someone who comes over to my house, or I have a friend or a family member who comes over to our house here, and they drink red wine, but they don't quite drink whiskey. I think this is a really good whiskey to have with them, and then maybe they can like pick out some of those wine notes, or those kind of like Malbec notes, and I feel like they could be really impressed by that. Okay, we've had this fantastic whiskey, and it's finished in a barrel that is personal to that individual. So they like, this was a Malbec. We have Grenache back there. We also have like a peated Scotch. So you have someone who comes over who's a Scotch fan, and of course you don't want to give them Scotch. You want to try to see if they might like something like different, like a rye. But this, you can get one of these ryes that is finished in a peated Scotch barrel. And then some other ones I have here is kind of like a vermouth finished as well, like a Syria barrel finished. I do also believe that you can get some other ones like a maple barrel syrup finished as well. So there's a bunch of different ones. These are pretty available if you go looking for them. I know they also do the American Prairie version of this, like a barrel series finished as well. But this is the rye version, so obviously stick with that. Retail goes from about $45 to $55. So it's not terrible value for money as well. And I think you should just build up like a collection of like 3 or 4 of these, because they're really interchangeable between whatever guest you have over. And as you see, I have a bunch back here as well. I offer a couple which are open right now, which I've used for something to impress my guests. And I think it's a pretty neat story as well behind them. So that's why I chose High West, kind of the double rye series finished. So next up is a bottle that's special, or a special bottle, or a bottle that you use for a special occasion. And sticking with High West, I chose a Midwinter Night's Dram. This is finished, this is the Rendezvous Rye, finished in French port wine barrels. This is Act 9, Scene 3. This is 49.3% alcohol, or 98.6 proof. And again, this is bottled by High West Distillery out there in Park City, Utah. And this is a beautiful whiskey. This kind of reminds me a little bit of a Christmas whiskey, I guess, if you like. Paying homage back, I guess, to the UK, where I'm originally from. What people tend to do is around Christmas and New Year's, you drink a port. You can drink port like out of a small wine glass. So I guess for me, when I drink this around Christmas, it's kind of like a nod to kind of that, kind of a nod to my past from there. But with the whiskey itself, it has the really nice sweet note up front, and then it transitions into these really nice raspberry and like dark cherry notes. And then the port kind of takes over as well, and you get kind of that beautiful wine barrel finished. I think this 9-4, or the Act 9 Scene 4, was one of the better ones in recent years. The only drawback I have for this bottle, or one of the 2 only drawbacks I have for this bottle, is it is a very hard bottle to find, especially in states not close to Utah. If you're in Utah and close to this distillery, you will know that this is actually a pretty easy bottle to find for you there, folks, because usually for a month, in the month of like October to November, they have stocks of this stuff in the distillery, and you can go and buy, I think, like a box of 6, which will last you the whole year easy. But if you're on the East Coast or West Coast, you're gonna have to do a little bit of hunting for this. Previously, this bottle was at $89.99, but sadly, from the High West website, that price has now gone up to like $130 or $135 at MSRP. So don't be shocked if you see this in stores. and you see it for coming around the $150 mark, which is a lot of money, sadly, to pay. This is a fantastic bottle of whiskey. If you've never tried it before, I probably would pay $150 for it. But luckily for me, I managed to pick up a few bottles last Christmas, and this will probably tie me over for the next year or so, depending on if I get any guests coming over here. Sadly, like I said, that price has gone up, so maybe I'll revisit this next year, and then it could be a different bottle. However, right now, that shouldn't take away from the juice that's in this rye whiskey. It's just fantastic. It's phenomenal. If you've ever tried it, you know what I'm talking about. This is obviously, this will easily go really well in kind of like a cocktail as well. So it also has that going for it. But it's something special, a Christmas Day, a New Year's Eve, the New Year's, anything like that. This will cater for your rye whiskey needs for that special moment. So with that being said, that was my list of You Only Ever Need 5 Whiskeys by Reddit. If you have any questions, please comment down below as we drink through the world's whiskies, one glass at a time. Cheers, folks.